Hello guys, I'm Chidubem Jude. I'm the realtor with Steez. Alright, don't mention. Alright, so you're welcome to my channel once more. Right, and if you're curious about land investments, right, but you're a bit lost, right? You're a bit lost. You don't probably know how to start. Maybe you're being overloaded with too many informations from here and there, and you need clarity. Alright, you're in the right place. Right? You're in the right place. Because here I'll show you tips and my own experience to guide you, to help you make that first step. Right, so let's inspire each other as we go into this journey of real estate. Right, so in my last video I talked about how you can truly identify a strategic location before the crowd moves in. Right, where I talked about the 5 shifts that has to happen before you can be able to achieve that. Where you have to look at the government and not the people. You have to focus on who is buying, which type of people is that area attracting, right? And also focus on access, not beauty, right? And today I'll be talking about how you can actually calculate your return on investments even before you buy. Right, so you can stay with me and let's dive into it. But before I continue, I would like to ask a very simple question, right? Very simple question. So if you buy land today for 4 million naira, right? If you buy land today for 4 million naira, and now how do you know it won't still be at 4.5 million naira in 5 years? How do you know it won't still be at 4.5 million naira in 5 years? Right? Because I discovered that most people buy land with hope, right? Most people buy land with hope, but you see smart investors, they buy land with math. That's to say, for you to actually predict the future value of a land, there is a natural way to go about it to actually get it right. Okay, that's why in this video I'm going to show you how to calculate your return on investment, which you also call ROI, before you buy land in Nigeria. Right, so now the biggest mistake you can make as a land buyer is not land fraud. No, it is buying land without knowing what the value will be. Right, it is buying land without knowing why the value should increase. That is the biggest mistake you can make as a land buyer in Nigeria. Buy land without knowing why the value of your land should increase. Right, so this is why you have to be careful about going about this. Once you want to buy, there are things you have to check. There are things you have to make sure you put in place. And most times you hear things like development is coming. You hear things like this place will boom, or you also hear things like just buy, right? But the truth is that most times they don't show you how to know if that land will actually increase, if the value of that land will actually increase. They don't show you, right? Now, once something like this happens, there are consequences to it. You discover that you buy and wait, right? You will hold, and you even pay for fences, you will pay for surveying, and sometimes you even pay for taxes. And then after 5 years, what happens? Nothing changes. There will be no growth, right? The land still remains the same. You get it? Nothing changes, no growth. You become frustrated and stuff like that. All right, so that is why you have to look at how to probably picture the value of the land. Is there a possibility for that land to increase in years to come? Right, so I'll literally simplify return on investments. Right, I'll simplify it now. Return on investment is equals to the future value of your land minus the purchase cost. The future value of your land minus the purchase cost. That's to say, for you to have any return on investment, the future value of your land must be higher than the purchase cost. All right, it must be higher than the purchase cost. But here is the thing, that is not even the main thing to look out for. That's not the main. Now here is the main question you have to ask. Why? You have to ask, how can I know that the future value of my land will be higher than the purchase cost? That is the main question you have to ask. How can I know that the future value of my land will be higher than the purchase cost? Right, that is what I'm going to share with you. I have 3 things you have to check for you to be able to know that the future value of your land will be probably higher than the purchase cost. right? So the first shift you have to take note of is infrastructure direction, right? Infrastructure direction is the first shift you have to take note of for you to be able to know if the future value of your land is going to be higher than the purchase cost. Now you have to look out for things like road, you have estates, you have flyovers and government projects, right? Because it's very important for you to know that land doesn't move with prayers. Land moves with growth. Like land grows with movement, it doesn't grow with prayers, right? It grows with movement, right? So you have to check for road, flyovers, estates and government projects. Now the second shift is pressure, like demand pressure. Now you have to ask questions like how many, like who will want this land in 3 to 5 years, right? Who will want this land in 3 to 5 years? Is it renters? Is it home builders? Is it businesses, right? Check who will want this land. Who will this land be valuable to in 3 to 5 years? Rentals, home builders, is it businesses? Because when there is no demand, there is no appreciation. I repeat, when there is no demand, then there will be no appreciation for your land, right? And the third thing you have to check is entry price. Now this is very important because I've seen so many I think ideas and so many controversies about it. Now the idea of cheap land, now not all cheap lands are always safe, and at the same time not all expensive ones are smart, right? Not all expensive ones are smart. That's to say, being cheap is not a guarantee that it's a good land. That is the same way being expensive is not to say guarantee that it's a smart land. Now what matters more is the room for growth. Is there room for growth for this land? If there is room for growth for that land, then that land is worth investing, whether it is cheap or expensive. Is there room for growth, right? That is what you have to look out for. All right, is there room for growth in that land? Now these are the things you have to check before you think of buying land in Nigeria. You have to be careful and ask such kind of questions. What will the value of my land be more in years to come? Will the future value of who will this land be valuable to in years to come? All right, you have to ask the question before you buy land. Who will this land be valuable to in years to come? All right, so if you want to think like an investor, right, and not hopeful buyer, you can subscribe to this channel and also turn on the notification button so that you get notified when I put out my next video. All right, and if you also need help to evaluate a land deal that you intend to buy, or you're in the process of buying, you can check the comments, the pinned comments in the comment section. All right, check the pinned comments in the comment section. And before you go, always remember to buy land with sense and not pressure. All right, always remember to buy land with sense and not pressure. All right, so thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.